Welcome to the endgame, the final video of our squat rack series, where we learn to build a squat rack in Fusion 360. In this video, we are going to be inserting all of the bolts and nuts in the correct places, as seen here. Now, before we get started and just start building a bunch of bolts and nuts, if we check our PDF, it actually tells us the exact size of the bolts we need. We need M10 bolts. And we don't have to make that. We can just insert it. So let's go to Insert. And let's go to McMaster Car Components. And let's select Screws and Bolts. And scroll down to Hex Head Screws and select Metric. Then we can just select M10. For the length, let's select 70 millimeters. And we're going to select partially threaded because we don't need threads all the way through, only at the end. And then let's just select the first one we have. And make sure the type of file that we download is a 3D step file, not SolidWorks. And hit download. And the file automatically inserts, and it is built correctly. Hit OK. And so then I'm going to go to Joint, and I'm going to select this end of my circle, and I'm going to place it in one of the holes here. And let me go around to the other side, actually, right here. And hit OK. And then we need the matching nut, so let's go to Insert, McMaster Car Components, and let's go to Nuts, and Hex Nuts, Metric, once again M10, and I think we can just select the first one from here. So make sure it says 3D step and hit download. And then the same thing, just hit OK and go to J on your keyboard for joint and just select that center circle and select the center circle here as well. And hit OK. And so we have the first one. And instead of doing that over and over again, let's go to Move Copy. And let's scroll down to these last two parts in our browser, these last two components, and select them both by holding Control on your keyboard. And then make sure you select Create Copy. And then grab that up arrow and drag it down -5 inches. And hit OK. And then scroll down a little bit more in your browser, and we can just select the bottom four by clicking the first high strength, holding Shift, and selecting the very bottom. And it should select all four. And once again, hit Move Copy. And once again, select Create Copy before you start moving. And if you don't hit Create Copy before you start moving, you have to start over. It won't let you create a copy after you started moving it. You just have to hit Cancel and then hit Move Copy again. But we drag it to the right here until we hit these holes, and that distance apparently was 35 inches. And hit OK. And then what else? Well, we also want some up here for here and here. So we can do that real quick. But the move copy is going to be a little bit complicated. Let's just select a bolt and a nut randomly here. So I'm just going to hold Control and select both of these. Right-click, Copy. And then I'm just going to right-click, Paste. And let's drag it out and hit OK. And then I want to keep these two together. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go over to Assemble and select Rigid Group. And I'm going to select this bolt and this nut so that they're always stuck together, forever and always. And hit OK. This way, if I move it, they move together. I'm going to hit Revert. And I'm going to go back to Assemble, go to Joint, and I'm going to select that circle. And I'm going to tell it to insert right here at this circle. And hit OK. Then I can utilize my Move Copy. I'm going to scroll down in my browser till I get to the last two files. And I'm going to select Move Copy. Make sure I select Create Copy and drag it up 5 inches. And hit OK. Then I want to mirror these two across. And if you haven't noticed, I'm not doing the same method every time. I'm doing whatever I think is going to be the most efficient for the specific part that I'm trying to do. So in this case, I believe it'll be a mirror. So I'm going to go to Create Mirror. I'm going to select the last 4 components by holding Control and selecting all of them. And then for my plane, I'm going to scroll back up to that first construction plane that we used in our last video. This one right here. And hit OK. And that should give me 2 more bolts and nuts mirrored across the plane. Okay, and then where else do we need bolts and nuts? It looks like we need some on this, so we can do that pretty quickly. Let's go to Move Copy, and let's see here. I want to select this piece and this piece. Make sure I hit Create Copy, and let's drag it down, and then in, and it looks like it's actually too small. You see how it's going into that face there? It's actually not the right size. And it is fit on the exact right size over here. And if you think about it, that makes sense because we do have this extra bar here. And so let's hit cancel. And let's go back to Insert, McMaster Car Components. Select Screws and Bolts again. Select Hex Head, Metric, M10 just like before, but for the length, let's go up a size. Let's go up from M1070 to M1075, and once again select Partially Threaded, and let's just select the first one, scroll to the right, and hit Download. And hit OK, and let's just go to Join, select that circle, and let's put it right here on this circle. And let's select Flip and hit OK. Then we can go ahead and find this nut. If we select this face, we can scroll through until we find it. There it is. I'm going to right click on it and go to Copy, and then just right click, paste, and let's drag it out and hit OK. And let's go to J on our keyboard for joint. Select this center circle and then select this center circle and hit flip and hit OK. Then we can scroll down into our browser and select the last 2 components. We can go to Move Copy, Create Copy, and let's drag it to the right until we hit that last circle. I believe that was 10 inches. And hit OK. And then let's see here. Instead of selecting these 2, I'm going to go ahead and change my view over here. Instead of selecting these 2, I'm going to go up to these 2. So the second to last 2 components. And let's go to Move Copy. Make sure we hit Create Copy. And let's start dragging it up using that down arrow all the way until we get up here. And we can even change our view here and zoom in so we can actually see what's going on. And if we zoom in, we should be able to go smaller distances until it lines up perfectly, and then drag it to the left. And I think that's about right. Hit OK. And then go into our browser again, find those very last 2 by scrolling down and selecting Move Copy, Create Copy, drag up to the one here at the very top. It should be 10 inches above. Hit OK. And then we can do it again. Select the very last 2 by scrolling down some more, selecting these 2. Select Move Copy. Don't forget to select Create Copy. And then drag it all the way until we hit this one. Perfect. Hit OK. And then again, we need to put it in this hole as well. So scroll down some more so we can get the latest 2 components. Move Copy, select Create Copy, drag it. I believe this one was 9 inches. If we change our view, that looks right. Hit OK. And then I think we did all of them on the left side. And so now all we have to do is just mirror them, right? And so I can scroll all the way down to the bottom and hit select, and then scroll all the way up until we see the very first bolt, which should be this high strength. I'm going to hold shift and select that, and that should select all of them. And then I'm going to go to create, mirror, and for my plane, I'm going to select my origin and hit OK. And then we have bolts and nuts on the other sides. But the parts can still all move, and instead of putting joints down for all of the parts, what I'm going to do is I am going to go to Assemble, Rigid Group again, and I'm going to select left base and then scroll down all the way until I hit J-hook. I don't want to select my J-hooks because they already have a constraint on them. I'm going to hold shift and hit pull-up bar. And then I'm going to go below that to foot cover, and I'm going to select everything. As a matter of fact, it'd probably be faster to go the other direction. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Select the very bottom component, scroll up, and hold shift this way instead, all the way until the first J-hook. So hold shift, right below J-hook should be foot cover, and then hold control and select everything above J-hook as well. And go to Assemble, Rigid Group. We're okay with it overriding some rigid groups. We just don't want to override those cylindrical constraints. So we can hit yes here and hit OK. And so now everything is stuck in place except for our J-hooks. And while I was looking, I noticed that we forgot to give a name to this last component that we made in the last video. So let's go ahead and give that a name as well. I believe it was called the 2 plug. And that should automatically change the name. And it looks like it didn't. So let's go ahead and change the name for all of these. But now we have a fully assembled squat rack, complete with bolts and nuts, holding it together, and moving and working J-hooks. That is the end of this series. I had a lot of fun making it. I hope you had a lot of fun following along and making it too. This was a good, simple introduction into real CAD design and engineering. You have to consider all of these little components and how everything fits together correctly. And so this was just a small taste of what you might see in real CAD design engineering. Make sure you save your work, and I'll see you in the next lesson.